Do you ever feel like a hamster on a hamster wheel, not getting anywhere new? Perhaps you've hit a plateau that has you asking, is this it? Have you accomplished all you've set out to do in life and are not feeling as fulfilled as you thought you would? It is normal at midlife to reassess what's working for you and what's not. It's also normal to want to reclaim your time, your energy, and your joy. Let's make the best out of the second half of our lives by having more fun, experiencing more peace, and feeling more joy. If any of this resonates with you, then this podcast is for you. I'm Megan Bayles Bartley. Now let's get ready to shift our shit. Woohoo! How awesome to be here with you all. This is my first time hosting the podcast solo, although I'm not quite solo. I'm coming from my office studio and my therapy dog Lemon Drop is here with me. If you're seeing this on video, I showed you a little video of Lemon Drop. I'm Megan Bayles Bartley, and today, this season we're going into of our podcast is we're going to meet the mindfulness team. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am and how I got to where I am today. I'm originally from Santa Cruz, California, but I grew up in Seattle, Washington, and graduated from the University of Washington. I actually created my own major at the University of Washington. I named it Community Health Management because I originally wanted to be a naturopathic physician. And there's a great university, Bastyr University in the Seattle area that I wanted to go to. And when I started at the University of Washington, I went into pre-nursing so that I could get all my prereqs for the naturopathic doctor route. And I bombed my hard science classes my freshman year of college. Even though I studied nonstop and did all the things, there was something, while I was good at that in high school, being in a class of 800 people was not my forte. So I switched gears. I became an art major actually for a while and thought I might become a graphic designer, maybe an interior designer, but probably more graphic designer. But I didn't think I'd do very well with feedback. I like being the leader. I like being in charge. So I went into community health management. I was really interested in wellness versus illness. I'd been treated by homeopathic doctors and was just really curious about how the body could heal itself if given the right circumstances, that the body could heal itself and that the body can heal itself. We don't tell the body when we have a cut for the cut to heal itself. We just trust that the body will heal the cut, right? So I was in that sort of realm of thinking how awesome it would be to be in more of this wellness realm. Well, my plans sort of got thwarted, and I went to work for the Presbyterian Church doing campus ministry work in Tucson, Arizona. So I moved from Seattle, Washington, with lots of rain, very wet, cool weather, very gray, to Tucson, Arizona, which was the complete opposite. And I used to say that I went to Tucson to dry out from Seattle, but people told me that had another meaning to it that I wasn't intending. So I stopped saying that. But I lived in Tucson, worked for the Presbyterian Church at the University of Arizona, and had a wonderful time. But I was there sort of temporarily, and I had to figure out what I was going to do next. And I was meeting with some other campus ministers, and one of them asked me, if you could do anything, this was like my life-changing aha question that was asked of me. If you could do anything, barring time, education, money, what would you do? And before she got the question out of her mouth, I automatically knew the answer came to me, and I said, I want to be a therapist. Because my time with the students at the University of Arizona, I did a lot of listening, talking, counseling, if you will, of just, that first couple years of, being away from home and all the things. So, immediately, this was like January of 2001. And by February of 2001, I had applied to a program at a Presbyterian seminary because the church I was working for said that they'd help me pay for it if I went to seminary. So I found a seminary that offered a degree in marriage and family therapy, which is the field I wanted to study because it's very systemically focused. So it's looking at the whole person and not trying to just pathologize a person, but to look at all the systems in which they belong, their family of origin system, their culture, their societal system, their faith tradition, schooling, just all these different things help inform, who a person is and how they think and behave and all those things. So I got in. And I came to in Louisville, Kentucky. So I came here the first time for my master's in marriage and family therapy at Louisville Seminary, and had a blast and met my husband, who was actually living in Austin, Texas. So moved to Austin for 11 years and practiced as a therapist there, and then moved back here to Louisville 9 years ago, and started a solo practice. I had to start all over again. Started a solo practice 9 years ago here in Louisville. And after 3 years of doing that and 30 hours of client contact, which is a lot for therapists, I decided it was time to add some people to the practice. And so that's how the Mindfulness Center was born. And I really was wanting to create a space for therapists to practice where they could kind of use, at the time it was called the Louisville Mindfulness Center. They could use the Louisville Mindfulness Center as a conduit, if you will, like that was sort of a home base, but that they would really develop their own practice within that. And so it's been fun over the years, because now the Mindfulness Center, we've been around for 6 years. And our goal, it's really important to me for people to help people find peace in their life, peace, joy, calm, a sense of calm. And a lot of that comes from my own experience of being a fairly anxious person, or knowing myself to be a fairly anxious person in my younger years. I feel like I grew up in a household that was a little bit emotionally unstable. And so I became very controlling and a lot of it of a perfectionist, to help me control what I could control in that situation. So, I'm a firstborn. I have a sibling who's 5 years younger than me. But, I was just really type A, still am. But I was a perfectionist and drove my family crazy. And it was good for me to leave the house and go off to college. But I started my own therapy journey when I was in high school, and we're going to do part 2 of this podcast. And I want to talk to you a little bit about my own therapy journey, because it's important to who I am as the founding director of the Mindfulness Center, because we work with a lot of really high functioning individuals who are highly intelligent, who are used to doing a lot of stuff, like getting a lot of stuff done, being super high achievers, highly intelligent. And what I've learned over the years of my practice and knowing who I am as well is that a lot of times, we can get really overwhelmed, especially as we get into the 40s or closer to the 40s and into the 50s, which I like to call the fuck 40s, where we're sort of at this place of, holy shit, I am tired, I'm worn out, and I don't think I can keep doing things the way I've been doing things anymore. So we're trying to redefine a new way for us to be in the world, because we've got our own kids maybe, and we're probably watching our parents, with some illnesses or ailments or retirement. And so we're sort of seeing, like, being in the middle of these two things, that what do I really want out of life? If I'm at middle age, where do I want to go from here? How do I want to live the second half of my life? And that's a great question to ask. I see that a lot of like, do I still want to be in the same career? Maybe you're kind of bored with your career because you've hit all the benchmarks that you set out to hit. And now you're sort of thinking like, is this it? I know for me, I'm even asking myself after I've started this practice, and I keep sort of adding, write a book, start a podcast, be on TV, all these things of like, oh shit, well, what else? What more? So, for those of us who are on that sort of entrepreneurial, C-suite execs, high achieving end, we don't often give ourselves permission to maybe not have to achieve so much anymore, or to just enjoy where we've gotten to and just maybe relax into that, which is maybe hard for those of us who are a little bit type A. So, just exploring this idea of, when you hit this fuck it 40s, what do we do with that? I think that's really interesting. I've already started thinking about, I have one kid who will be in college in 5 years. I have another kid who will be done with high school in 8 years. So what's life going to look like after they leave the house? And what do I want to prepare for myself in those next 5 to 8 years so that perhaps I can travel more, or, do some other things that I wouldn't be able to do with kids in school on a schedule. But that's how my brain works, where I'm kind of always looking for the next thing or the next challenge. I really like a challenge. Right now, I will say over the summer, I am doing some home improvement challenges, which I also really enjoy. So I've been remodeling a master bedroom and bathroom very slowly, but I like using compound miter saws and nail compressors, nail guns and all that stuff. And to create something that I can use is really amazing for me too. So I'm going to wrap this video podcast, and hopefully you'll join me for part 2 of this podcast. And I'll tell you a little bit about my own therapy story over the years and how I've been in therapy, why I've been in therapy, and why it's important for therapists to get their own therapy. Because not that I don't know if I've ever asked a therapist I've had if they've gotten their own therapy, but the therapists that I hire in my practice, I kind of want to know that they're going to be self-aware. And, a lot of times there's a thought that our clients won't go any further than we have gone as therapists. And that makes sense. So, because I work with really high functioning individuals, I, really want to be, as aware and high functioning as I can be, and, challenge myself too emotionally to see where I'm at in each new moment. And that shifts and changes based on a lot of things. So stay tuned for part 2 of Meet Megan.